the future is electric. But the fact is that the future is here and today. Electric vehicles are making inroads in almost all cities. Maybe the big cities are not so populated with electric vehicles, especially cities like Delhi and Bombay, where the commute is too long. But Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, they are really catching up in huge numbers. And the sole reason, I won't say sole reason, but because of the basic advantages of pollution-free ride, very low fuel cost. The charging cost is so low that the saving is almost 90% as compared to the fuel cost if we compare it with petrol and diesel. Now, pollution-free environment, as you know, global warming is a major issue, and shifting over to electric vehicles would eventually help us in slowing down the global warming. The hesitancy factor is there in adopting a new technology, but as we continue to educate people about the advantages as compared to the IC engine vehicles, like very few moving parts are there in an electric vehicle, wear and tear is low, maintenance cost is very low, and operating cost is also low. So with this initial introduction, I'll move on to thank the All India Insurance Surveyors Association and Mr. Rajesh Gupta, our senior surveyor from Jammu, to invite me for this presentation. And I hope I do justice to the job. I would start with the two-wheelers, and I would like to present this small schematic in which you can see how an electric vehicle is, what components are used, what are the major components, and also how it is different from a normal IC engine two-wheeler, be it scooter, scooty, or a motorcycle. If you look at it, the system starts from a charger. These are plug-in chargers. You can simply plug these to normal 5 ampere sockets at your house or office. You can use these chargers to charge the batteries. I'll come back to you on the details on the batteries in next slides. Now, these batteries are chargeable, and they have varied qualities, varied chemistry. Then you have a controller. This controller is basically an inverter, which also has some control modules in it. And then there is a drive control module, which has a Hall sensor based accelerator. It has a torque controlling module. It has pulse based speedometer. In electric scooters or electric cars, the kilometers run is based on not the revolution of the wheels, but it is calculated based on the ampere and the voltage drawn from the battery, and the controller gives an estimated output of what the speed of the vehicle is and how many kilometers it has run. Now, if you see, I'll start again from battery charger. We charge the battery. The battery gives voltage and current to the controller. Now, based on the acceleration, accelerator, it's an electronic accelerator. Unlike a cable accelerator, this is electronic circuit which senses the movement via Hall sensor and magnet, a curved magnet. The message goes down to the controller, and then the converter converts the DC power to 3-phase AC. Now this must be understood that most of the motors, though we call these motors as BLDC motors, brushless DC motors, but these are actually three-phase motors working on AC. So the three-phase power is supplied to these BLDC motors, and they are integrated within the wheel, and that's why we call them hub motors. So if you look at this schematic, you would realize that the moving parts are almost eliminated. The wear and tear parts are almost eliminated. The only components that are used, that are prone to wear and tear is tires, the cables, the brake cables, and the brake pads. Nothing else is prone to wear and tear. I'll come in my next slides. I'll let you know the details about the build of a BLDC motor, and there you will realize that these are virtually maintenance-free motors.
डोगरा साहब यहाँ पे लास्ट स्लाइड, पिछली स्लाइड जरा डोगरा साहब।
हाँ जी,
पिछली स्लाइड बैक। ये थोड़ा सा मैं आपको लोगों को बता दूं हिंदी में, आई एम जस्ट एक्सप्लेनिंग थोड़ा सा हिंदी में। ये एक आपका बैटरी चार्जर है, इसका आप इसके लिए बैटरी चार्जर है, ये बैटरी बॉक्स है जिसमें बैटरी वो चीज की जाती है, और इस बैटरी से ही ये सिग्नल जाता है कंट्रोल सर्किट को। ये कंट्रोल सर्किट टू वे है, यहाँ से एक तो पहले वो ड्राइवर के पास में जाता है, ड्राइवर के पास में जाने के बाद में वहां पे जो एक्सीलेटर है, जो हमारा बैक जो एक्सीलेटर है जनरली अपना ट्रेडिशनली हमारा जो आईसी इंजन वाले स्कूटर्स में रहता था, वो तो केबल कंट्रोल्ड रहता था, उसमें एक्सीलेटर की केबल रहती थी, वो थ्रॉटल को वो करने के आता था। पर यहाँ पे ये एक्सीलेटर है, ये सेंस करता है उसको करंट को वेरिएंट करने के लिए, वो इलेक्ट्रॉनिकली सेंसर कंट्रोल्ड होता है करंट को वेरिएंट करने के लिए। वहां पे केबल होती थी, वो थ्रॉटल को कंट्रोल करती थी उसके फ्यूल के उसके अंदर जाने के लिए, और वो जो उसका थ्रॉटल बॉडी में जाके फिर या कार्बोरेटर में जाके जो पहले होते थे उसमें जाने के बाद में वो उसको वो करता था। बट हियर दैट थ्रॉटल बॉडी एंड ऑल दिस केबल्स हैव बीन एलिमिनेटेड, ये निकाल दी गई हैं। यहाँ से सेंस होने के बाद में वापस वो कंट्रोल से आके पीछे जो हब माउंटेड, यहाँ पे ये हब माउंटेड इसकी मोटर्स है, ये जो है सारी सप्लाई जो है पावर की ये हब से माउंटेड मोटर से ही आती है। और ये मोटर जो है इसको डीसी मोटर बोलते हैं, बट इसका पर्पस है डीसी सप्लाई को थ्री फेज एसी सप्लाई देना। कन्वर्शन जो है इसकी डीसी से एसी में होती है, इसकी ये जनरेशन पावर देके आके इसको सारा कंट्रोल के साथ में करके, ये एक बेसिक फंडा है जो इलेक्ट्रिक मोटर में है। इसमें सिर्फ वेयरिंग एंड टेयरिंग पार्ट सारे निकाल चुके हैं। आपके वेयरिंग टेयरिंग में पार्ट्स जो आ रहे हैं वो टायर्स आ रहे हैं, जो केबल्स जो ऑपरेट होती है वो आ रहे हैं, और छोटे जो नॉर्मल वेयर एंड टेयर एक्सपोजर, नॉर्मल बॉडी पार्ट्स में भी आप नॉर्मल वेयर एंड टेयर जो बॉडी का एक्सपोजर होता है वेदरिंग कंडीशन के लिए वो है। बट अदरवाइज जो वेयर एंड टेयर में बाकी जैसे बेरिंग्स होते थे जिसमें उसमें बाकी और दूसरे सिस्टम्स में वो सब यहाँ पे एलिमिनेट कर दिए गए हैं। ओके सर, नेक्स्ट सर।
इसमें एक चीज और ऐड कर दूं कि कुछ मोटर्स और कंट्रोलर्स जो हैं वो रीजनरेटिव ब्रेकिंग के लिए भी एनेबल्ड होते हैं, और उसका मतलब ये है कि जब आप ब्रेक लगा रहे हैं या आप आइडलिंग, मतलब आप एक्सीलरेटर को नहीं चला रहे, आप ढलान पे चल रहे हो, उस टाइम पे ये मोटर जो है इंस्टेड ऑफ वर्किंग एज अ मोटर, वो एक जनरेटर की तरह काम करना शुरू करती है और वो बैटरी को वापस चार्ज करती है। बट इन केस ऑफ टू व्हीलर्स द रीजनरेशन इज सो लो कि हम कभी उसको क्वांटिफाई नहीं करते। कई स्कूटर्स में तो होता नहीं है, जो सिंपल कंट्रोलर्स होते हैं उनमें रीजनरेशन नहीं होता। जो अच्छी क्वालिटी के कंट्रोलर्स आते हैं उसमें रीजनरेटिव ब्रेकिंग होती है और वो बैटरी को वापस चार्ज करता है, विच इज लिमिटेड टू अराउंड 5 to 6% of the charging in a whole in a complete journey of say 70-80 kilometers। तो वो इतना कम होता है कि उसका इतना इफेक्ट नहीं होता। बट इन कार्स जो रीजनरेटिव ब्रेकिंग है वो बहुत इफेक्टिव है और उसमें ऑलमोस्ट 15 to 17% का गेन है।
सर यहाँ पे हम ये ऐड करेंगे कि अगर सिटी के बीच में हम एक गाड़ी चलाते हैं जो कि फ्यूल पे डीजल या पेट्रोल की होगी, उसकी एफिशिएंसी जो गाड़ी की है उसकी जो है एवरेज आप देखोगे वो डाउन हो जाती है ब्रेकिंग की वजह से सिटी के। बट इन फोर व्हीलर्स इट्स सो इन दिस इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल कि वो जो जैसे जैसे ब्रेकिंग होती है उसकी काइनेटिक एनर्जी जो है वो इलेक्ट्रिक एनर्जी में जाके और बैटरी को रिचार्ज कर रही है। तो दैट इज द ब्यूटी ऑफ दिस। उसमें ये चीज है कि आप ब्रेक लगाते हो तो वो चार्जिंग कर रहा है, वहां पे हम ब्रेक लगाते हैं तो हमारा फ्यूल वेस्ट होता है। दिस इज द पॉइंट। उसमें वो चीज है, दैट इज अ रीजनरेशन ब्रेकिंग सिस्टम। दैट इज व्हाट मिस्टर डोगरा वाज टेलिंग अबाउट। प्लीज नेक्स्ट।
Now let's have a little bit of a overview on electric car. इस सिस्टम में आप देखेंगे कि ये जो चेसी के बीच में एम्बेडेड,
डोगरा साहब ये इंग्लिश में ले लीजिए आप।
okay, the particular, this is the battery which is embedded and sandwiched between the chassis of a vehicle, and most of the companies, they have a complete platform which has battery and the drivetrain completely integrated, and the body shape, our upper cabin keeps on changing, but the lower setup remains same. In this particular diagram, you can see this is the battery. These are separate modules of the batteries, interconnected as well as segregated for the sake of safety. Because these batteries are almost 300 to 400, 450 volts DC. So that's a lot of energy packed. The companies, they divide it into smaller parts so that in case of a damage, the damage is restricted to a particular module, damage or failure. Now in the front, you can see the control module is there. The vacuum pumps are used for the power brakes because there is no vacuum being generated by an engine. For AC compressor also, you would see ancillary motors being used. So all these ancillary motors powering vacuum pump and AC motors, wiper motors are powered by the same battery, but through a DC-DC converter, which converts the 440, 400, 300 volt, whatever the system voltage is there. The DC-DC converter converts that voltage to 12 volts so that all other systems like power window, light, horn, and these motors, they can operate at 12 volt. In the rear, you can see the motor is there. These are permanent magnet synchronous motors, and then normal axle through the system and normal suspension. In the wiring also, you would realize that the wiring is divided into two segments. One is high voltage, high ampere wiring, which is used between battery, controller, and the motor. And normal wiring section is separated, which is a 12 volt system. So you would find two segments of wiring with two different capacities. Now to get into details of these components, if we list out what are the major components here, the major component, the most expensive and the biggest single component is battery pack. Why we call it a battery pack is because it's a group of batteries being used, made of small cells, be it lithium ion chemistry, NCM chemistry, or lithium ferrophosphate. Then comes the drivetrain, which includes motor, which in case of four-wheeler is not BLDC, but permanent magnet synchronous motor, AC motor. Transmission consists of a small differential connected to a motor. If it is a front wheel drive, and if it is a rear wheel drive, it has a motor directly coupled with the shaft. Then there is the controller, which is more or less an inverter with some more electronic modules, which controls the has the speed controller, which has regenerative braking system, which has brake control systems. Then these cars also, electric cars, unlike the petrol cars, they use electronic throttles. Now in scooter, it's a simple electronic throttle. In car, it is a much higher quality electronic throttle. In recent, in case you look at Mahindra vehicles, they have electronic accelerators. But in electronic cars, the electronic throttle or accelerator is even much higher, of a much higher technical component. And the reason why this throttle is critical is that this is working only at 5 to 6 ampere voltage, but controls the whole car. And interestingly, this like an automatic car, electric vehicle does not have a clutch pedal. So this electronic throttle even does assistance, provides assistance in braking. In electric four-wheelers, when you release the accelerator, automatic braking takes place due to the greater aspect of regenerative braking, so that rapid deceleration takes place, and battery gets charged in that case. The next point is also related to the same topic, regenerative braking system. And this is again in four-wheeler a very successful thing, but in two-wheeler it is not very successful. DC-DC converter, as I have already explained, it is a converter which converts the battery's voltage to 12 volt, so that all ancillary components like horn, lights, AC blowers, power windows, they can operate. And wiring, I have also explained earlier that it has two sections. One is 12 volt section and other is high voltage, high amperage section. Now coming to electric vehicle batteries, the diagrams that I have shown is very basic diagram of batteries, but in the next few slides you would also see the professional build of batteries which are used in cars. Now here, if you look at the first image, the VRLA lead gel based batteries. These are lead acid batteries based on gel. These are sealed batteries. No topping up is required. They are 12 volts. These are all 12 volts batteries, and you have to connect them in series to achieve your operating voltage, which could be 48 volt, 60 volt, or 72 volt. Mostly used in two-wheelers or electric rickshaws. Now, lithium-ion NCM.
डोगरा साहब यहाँ पे that means आप ये चीज बोलोगे कि ये जो आपके 12 volt की बैटरी है, it has to be 48 volt. So such 4 batteries will be installed to make it as a 48 volt.
Yes,
and
sir.
if it is 60 volt, then 5 such batteries will be put in series to make it as 60 volt.
Yeah, so for 72 volt, again, 6 batteries have to be connected in series.
So that will become that will be a case of a battery bank. It will become.
Very true, sir. That's why we call it a battery pack, and in case of VRLA lead acid gel batteries, it becomes a very bulky contraption, because each battery weighs around 7 to 8 kgs for a 12 volt battery, 28 Ah. Higher capacity, if we go 38 Ah, 42 Ah, the Ah actually, the voltage, let me explain here that the voltage of a battery decides the power and the load carrying capacity and the rate of acceleration of a vehicle, whereas the ampere hour of the battery actually determines the range of the vehicle per charge. That means if it is a 28 Ah battery and it is being used in a say a two-wheeler, 28 Ah would give you approximately 50 kilometers, 60 kilometers range per charge. And a 42 Ah battery would give you around 100 to 120 kilometers range per charge. Another difference between these lead acid batteries and lithium chemistry based batteries is that the efficiency here is around 80%. Whereas lithium-based batteries, the efficiency is almost 95%. Now, let's come to the second component, which is lithium-ion-based batteries, NCM-based chemistry. Now, these are small cells, lithium-ion cells. Each cell has a nominal voltage of 3.7 volt. Maximum charge, it goes up to 4.2 volt. So you have to connect n numbers of batteries to make to achieve the voltage. Say if you are going for 48 volt, we'll have to connect approximately 15 to 16 cells in a series. And then we'll have to add further 15, 16 in parallel to achieve the ampere hour capacity of the battery. So in spite of that, the size, because lithium ion batteries have a very high density, power density, so they can store very high power in small space. So if you see that these batteries, if we connect 4 of these batteries in series, we'll get a battery bank of 48 volt 28 Ah, whereas almost just 1.5 of the size of this battery in lithium NCM, you will get 48 volt 28 Ah battery. So the power density being so high in lithium ion, you can store a lot of energy in a very small space, and it becomes lighter also. So vehicle becomes lighter, you get much efficient output. The third category is lithium ferrophosphate battery packs. Now these cells, they have a little lower power density capacity as compared to lithium ion. In lithium ferrophosphate cells, the nominal voltage is 3.2, maximum is 3.65 volt at maximum charge. So it becomes a little bulky, but not as bulky as the lead acid battery. And another reason for the leaning of the industry now to shift to lithium ferrophosphate is that it has the fire hazard aspect is very low in lithium ferrophosphate batteries. Lithium ion is very sensitive to damage and thermal runaway, and then fire and explosion can take place. So in case of safety and operating in higher temperatures, like in India, we almost now, because of global warming, most of the places we get around 48 to 50 degree temperature in summer. So ferrophosphate batteries are safer, but lithium ion would be a little risky in very high temperatures.
अपना डोगरा जी, you just have to check up your connection. Some sound is coming out with that, and in the meantime, I'll request Mr. T. Ramesh Babu, please throw some light on that.
Yes, sir. Rajesh ji, just I request you to enlighten something upon the batteries where we are facing problem in hybrid vehicles. Whenever the vehicle was kept idle in the workshop on account of accident repairs.
A bit loud, sir. Your voice is low.
Yes, sir. When I like the presenter to enlighten regarding the battery, wherein we are facing the problem of failure of battery in case of hybrid vehicles. When the vehicle kept in the garage idle for certain time, certain days, the battery will be discharged and it has to be replaced. Is there any problem? Is there same problem here also, or is the batteries are chargeable even after removing from the vehicle? Just please enlighten this thing, sir.
Yeah, that's a very important question as far as maintenance of a vehicle is concerned, and the precautions that a repair unit or a repair service center should take. When we receive a vehicle, we charge if it is accidental loss and the battery has to stand for a longer time, be it lead acid, be it lithium ion or lithium ferrophosphate battery packs, we charge them to 90% and place it on a wooden board. We don't put it on the floor. One thing. Second thing is that you should never let it drop to the lowest. See, as I told you, that the nominal voltage of lithium ion cell is 3.7 and maximum charge is 4.7. But then there is also a lower end of the cell voltage. Lower end, that means from which value the voltage should not drop. After that, you cannot revive those cells. So I'm instead of talking of a battery, I'm just talking about one cell. Now, in case of a lithium ion cell, the lower end is 3.2 volt. So if somebody receives a vehicle, does not charge a lithium battery or a lithium ferrophosphate battery and let it degrade, especially if it is a very cold place, the discharge rate of the battery would be very high. And if the voltage of a cell drops below 3.2 volt, it is almost impossible to revive it. I would say out of 100 cells lying with me, if I try to revive them, maybe 1 or 2 might get revived, and balance 98 would have to be thrown out. So this is a precaution that a service center must take, that even if it is a group of cells, they have to charge it. They have to contribute. If the vehicle is parked for say 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, they have to charge it at least after every third week. If they do not charge it, the battery will, the battery voltage, say it is a 48 volt battery. Now 48 volt battery would go up to 54 volts at the maximum. And the lower end would be approximately 43 volts. Now, if the battery voltage falls below 43 volts, then the chances of reviving that battery is impossible. In a single cell situation, we can agitate externally, but in a battery pack, after the battery, there is a battery management system. It's a card, it's an electronic card, which automatically cuts out at the maximum charge and the lower end charge. So once the lower end charge is cut out, even if you try to charge it, the battery will not take charge inside. So what we do in our case is that we remove the battery, we dismantle the battery management card, and then try to revive the battery. But the standard companies, they provide batteries which are sealed. Once you tamper with it, it's gone, because they seal the battery management BMS, we call them. The BMS is sealed with a sealant on top of the battery, so you cannot actually you cannot remove it. So it is true that if the battery is lying idle, it will go dead after some time.
डोगरा जी, यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा ऐड करके ये बता दीजिए, now this in a lockdown position where days together we were held up and the vehicles were not to be moved out also, after how much time everybody has to again recharge it? अपना कुछ टाइम के बाद में उनको बीच-बीच में चार्ज करने के लिए
Sir, every week, even if the battery indicator shows full, you have to start the vehicle and you have to charge it. In case of hybrid vehicle, it gets charged from the internal power only. So you have to charge it every week. It might take 10-15 minutes. You can make a short round, or you can park it and charge it. You can start the vehicle and give a little acceleration and charge it. If any vehicle, scooter, car, fully electric, hybrid, any type of vehicle, if it has a lithium battery, you must top it up with a charge every week. It's not only because the voltage will drop, but it is also इसका जो AH value है वो भी reduce होता रहता है. हाइब्रिड में AH value से फर्क नहीं पड़ता, लेकिन फुल इलेक्ट्रिक और इलेक्ट्रिक स्कूटर्स या इलेक्ट्रिक मोटरसाइकिल्स जो है उनमें बहुत फर्क पड़ता है, क्योंकि उसी के ऊपर आपका रेंज डिपेंड करता है. तो जैसे लास्ट ईयर भी लॉकडाउन हुआ तो हम लोगों को उस टाइम हमारा वॉल्यूम कम था जम्मू में इलेक्ट्रिक स्कूटर्स का. अभी हमारे अप्रोक्सीमेटली 600 स्कूटर्स, 558 स्कूटर्स हैं मार्केट में. तो हम लोगों को सबको रेगुलरली व्हाट्सएप मैसेजेस भेजना पड़ता है कि प्लीज डू चार्ज इट, अदरवाइज बैटरी लाइफ विल बी रिड्यूस्ड.
What is the life
once it goes that lower value, it won't come to its back position, and that battery complete bank has to be changed.
Yes, sir. Once the battery's lower cut value is breached and it goes below the lower cut value, you cannot revive the battery, sir.
So what is the cost of battery, sir?
ये जब चलते हुए, जब गाड़ी चल रही है, चलाते हुए भी जब आपका लोअर वैल्यू तक आ जाता है तो वहां पे कॉशन कैसे आता है?
नहीं, चलाते हुए कभी कोई कॉशन नहीं आता सर.
नहीं, चलाते वक्त भी बैटरी जब डिस्चार्ज होकर कुछ पोजीशन पे आएगी तो उसकी लो वोल्टेज में जाएगी ना वो?
नहीं सर, उसमें क्या है कि जो आपको बैटरी हाइब्रिड व्हीकल्स में आप हाइब्रिड की बात कर रहे हो या फुल इलेक्ट्रिक की बात कर रहे हो सर?
सर दोनों को लेके चल रही है,
सर
दोनों को
हाइब्रिड में आपको हाइब्रिड बैटरी का वोल्टेज नहीं पता चलता। आपको सिर्फ आपकी 12 वोल्ट बैटरी जो आपको जो इनिशियल सेल्फ को जो अल्टरनेटर के थ्रू जो स्टार्ट करता है, सिर्फ उसका वोल्टेज वो शो करता है। फुल इलेक्ट्रिक में आपको पूरा बैटरी बैंक का वोल्टेज भी आएगा, वार्निंग भी आएगा। अब तो कार्स के सेगमेंट में तो इतना एडवांसमेंट आ गया कि उसमें तो ये भी आ जाता है कि कितना किलोमीटर और चल सकता है। सो दे हैव डन दैट, दे हैव मेड एल्गोरिथम बेस्ड ऑन देयर मोटर कैपेसिटी, देयर बैटरी कैपेसिटी. They are able to sense the climb, they are able to sense that you are using a air conditioner or you are driving without air conditioner, how much loaded the vehicle is. तो वो सबको कंप्यूट करके आपको वो बताता रहता है कि अभी it can go 150 kilometers more, it can go 50 kilometers more. तो वो एडवांटेज है, लेकिन हाइब्रिड बैटरी का कोई इंडिकेशन नहीं आता सर।
Okay, you proceed with the next part. There are number of questions in related to battery. We make sure that we attend all that at the end because there are number of questions. अगर वो हम यहाँ पे अभी शुरू हो गए तो बहुत लगेगा. Let us move ahead to the lecture.
No, Rajesh ji, we will take all questions at the end of the session, sir. Please.
Sure, sir.
Yeah. Let us move with that.
This hybrid is a very interesting thing, and if maybe some next day, some other day, you want, I can actually put up a very good detailed presentation on that.
Nice of you. Nice of you.
Okay, now sir, let's come to the two-wheeler electric vehicle motors. These are BLDC motors, brushless DC motors. There is no brush. The field has one of the fields, either the rotor or the field coil, or would have magnets, permanent magnets, and one of them would have coil. So in a two-wheeler, mostly the field is made of permanent magnet, and internal is with coil, three-phase coil, and there are three Hall sensors within the coil, which keeps on telling you, how which direction the motor has to move, what is the angle of rotation. So these three sensors, they keep giving feedback to the controller, and it makes the motor rotate smoothly. The permanent magnets, unfortunately, good quality permanent magnets.
Just read it out also, no, what you have written.
Yeah.
Brushless DC motors are durable, fairly efficient and low cost. They can operate on high speed and can be controlled electronically. All these attributes make these motors ideal for automotive components that are in operation continuously. Permanent magnet synchronous motors, PMSM. PMSM motors, on the other hand, has every attribute of BLDC motor with added advantage of lesser noise and higher efficiency. Please, Dr. Rajiv.
Yeah, this normal BLDC motors are used in the scooters like we sell, but then there are some high-end scooters like Ather. They use PMSM motors because they're more efficient and they make less noise. And that's why if you compare Ather scooter with any other scooter in the market, you would realize that they have a higher speed, they have a higher range, but then the cost is also higher because PMSM motors are a little expensive to make. In case of four-wheel vehicles, permanent magnet AC synchronous motors are used. And all these cars like Kona and other electric cars that are coming in the market, they're all using permanent magnet synchronous motors. They have air cooling system, they have liquid cooling system. They also use permanent magnet. And the interesting thing is that it has the potential to provide high torque to current ratio. That means it uses very low current. Current इतना कम कंज्यूम होता है, जितना कम कंज्यूम होगा उतना आपको रेंज ज्यादा मिलेगा. So it uses very low current to provide high torque. It has high power to weight ratio. Means the weight of the motor is low, but the power output is very high as compared to any other motor in the industry. Efficiency is good and the build quality is very robust, so it takes all the vibrations of a car. Now, due to these favorable points, PMSM motors are commonly used in variable speed drives, mostly electric vehicles and robotics. The advantages of PMSM motors and BLDC motor is that while both are brushless motors, but the jerk when you start a BLDC motor, when you start a BLDC motor based vehicle, be it electric rickshaw, be it electric scooter, you would find an initial jerk in starting of these vehicles, whereas those ripples are missing. The torque thrust is missing, or ripples are missing in PMSM motors. Performance, as I told you, efficiency is very high as compared to BLDC motors. BLDC motors, that's why if you have the same rating of motors, in scooters we use BLDC motors because the price constraint is there. There is a tendency to keep the price affordable, so we use BLDC motors. But Ather, they use PMSM motors, so their scooter is almost 1.5 lakh in price, but then efficiency is very high. It gives a very good range, it gives a very high speed. And the noise is very low. In PMSM motors, you would hardly even feel the noise. In BLDC motors, there is a slight whining noise is there when the motor rotates. But in PMSM motors, there's hardly any noise. Now, advantage and disadvantage, we already discussed higher efficiency at higher speeds. Now, here I would like to also mention that these permanent magnet motors, be it BLDC motor or PMSM motors, they're basically similar construction, but different control modules. Here, I would like to mention that the torque aspect is almost constant even in slow speed. That means if you have loaded a vehicle, जैसे हम लोगों का वो आईसी इंजन का स्कूटर होता था, उसमें गियर होते थे, तो हम लोग उसको गियर को पहले गियर पे, अगर हैवी लोड हो गया, चढ़ाई आ गई, तो हम लोअर गियर पे ले आते थे. यहाँ पे ऐसा करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती, बल्कि अगर बहुत ज्यादा लोड लेके वी आर क्लाइंबिंग, ट्राइंग टू क्लाइंब gradient, it is better to go to a higher speed, because speed is directly, in these motors, the speed is directly proportional to the torque. So you don't feel that the torque is low even at slow speed, and even if you go at a higher speed, the torque would remain with you. You would not lose the torque or the power of the vehicle. Now maintenance is easy because there are no brushes. कुछ घिसना नहीं है, कार्बन ब्रशेस घिसेंगे नहीं, तो आपने बार बार खोल के कार्बन ब्रश चेंज नहीं करना है. परमानेंट मैग्नेट परमानेंट है, good quality permanent magnets. They last around 8 to 10 years in a BLDC motors. In PMSM motors, they last around 12 to 15 years. They last forever, but then their magnetic effect is reduced, and accordingly the power is also reduced. The flux creation reduces. The efficiency is higher. The disadvantage in PMSM motors is that they are very expensive as compared to other motors, and the initial startup, the initial movement is difficult because PMSM motors uses only a single Hall sensor, whereas a BLDC motor uses 3 Hall sensors to sense the angle of drive, the angle of magnetic flux. To show you, we did some projects for conversion of electric two-wheelers, and I would like to just share some short videos of how it is constructed. We took a normal Pulsar motorcycle chassis, and here you see this is the lithium-ion battery. This was much before we actually did all the cladding. So later on, you could not see the battery and all. Now this is the meter which shows that it is fully charged. This is a mid-drive design where the motor is here. I'll just show you from the other side. So with a chain sprocket, we give the drive as in a conventional scooter, motorcycle. This under the battery, you would see We used LED lights so that the power consumption is low, because the load ultimately goes to the battery only. Now here you would see the motor. This is a BLDC motor, and this is the sprocket, and the chain is driving. Now the second video is of a prototype, again to explain how simple it is. I mean, you would see electric scooters with all the frills and all, the body cladding, the body panels, DRLs, headlights. But here I would show you the basic structure. How minimal, the purpose of showing this video is how minimal the components are there. I mean, there's hardly anything. We can dress it up to look as grand as possible, but inside the real component is, and the power is good. I mean, you will be surprised that you would not feel lag in the power. You would not feel that it is getting bogged down while driving. We are selling these scooters, and 200 kgs, the scooter 60 volt system carries very easily. This is this conversion, this build was done on a 48 volt system. Now, here you see in this small plastic box, we have the battery and the controller, and this is the hub motor. Here you have the throttle. So these are the only components which are used to make, which are functional parts. The mechanical system is same like any other automobile two-wheeler. The drum brakes are there, or disc brakes are there, torque arms are there, shock absorbers are there, front suspension. So almost everything is similar. The mechanical construction is similar, but you don't have a gearbox, you don't have a transmission, you don't have a variable drive connecting the rear wheel. So all those wear and tears, engine oil, filters, everything is eliminated. In electric vehicles, the only caution that you have to take is that the brake should have an electric brake switch, which means that every time you apply brake, the accelerator should get disconnected. Otherwise, what would happen is that you are trying to brake and accelerator is powering the motor. In that case, now this is the controller and this is the battery, that's it. Now, if the accelerator is working while braking, the motor will heat up, the wires will heat up, and eventually the controller will burn out. So we need to have electric switch in each of the brakes. Every time you press the brake, the power supply to the motor is disconnected. Okay, now let's come to the topic which is directly associated with your profession, which is accidental related nature of damages. Now here, body and chassis loss would be just like any other damage, any other vehicle, IC vehicle or electric vehicle. The minor difference would be that the insulation part of the vehicle. Apart from that, everything would be same. Now, battery is the most critical component and single most expensive part of the EV. Now, here I would like to tell you that the battery of an electric vehicle, be it two-wheeler, be it a car, is almost 60 to 70% of the cost of the battery of the total vehicle. Now, that's why the safety, vis-a-vis electric surges and accidental damage to the battery is taken care of by all the manufacturers. The location of the battery is such that minimal possibility of damage is anticipated at that location. Battery is also a fire hazard in an EV. As such, it is the most protected in the vehicle. Battery pack is also a source of heat in an EV, such as such cooling system is provided. In some vehicles, liquid cooling is provided for the battery. That means the battery casing has water jackets, and that keeps the temperature of the battery down. And in some batteries, there is air cooling system is provided, which are low voltage batteries. Here, I would like to also tell you that now this is a user information that I'm sharing. It has nothing to do with damages. But in case we have to prolong the life of the battery, three basic cautions have to be taken by the user. The first caution is that when you connect the vehicle to the charger, the vehicle should, after it is fully charged, you should not drive the vehicle immediately, because when you charge the battery, a chemical reaction is taking place inside the battery, and batteries becomes a little hot. Now, if you start driving it immediately, you are actually adding to that pre-existing heat in the battery, so you are actually damaging the battery. Similarly, when you come back after your drive, you should not immediately plug it to charge. You should leave it for 15-20 minutes and then charge. Now, a lot of people traveling on high, this is not applicable to vehicle which has water-cooled battery system. But vehicle which does not have a water-cooled liquid, I would not say water, but it is a special coolant which is used. So liquid-based cooling system, those batteries can be charged immediately. But other batteries which does not have a liquid-cooled cooling system should not be charged immediately. Because while you are driving and discharging, there also chemical reaction is taking place and the battery is heating up. And the third precaution is that you should never charge a battery which is exposed to elements. That means extreme sun or rain. It should be under a covered area, not under open sky. Manufacturers are also making a lot of advancement, and motors are normally IP ingress protection 65 rated. In two-wheelers and cars, it is IP 67. And in Tesla, it is IP 71, as I just learned from one of the articles. So if this technology has to move up and acceptability has to be there in the market, the protection part has to be worked on by all the manufacturers. Now, as I already discussed, the wiring part is also critical, because any overload would cause any error, any fault in the vehicle which can cause overload can also cause damage to the wiring, because the wires would heat up. Now, here I am showing you there's some precautions that need to be taken while using while recovering an electric vehicle from an accident site. As I've told you that batteries are prone to get damaged. I mean, there is a possibility of damage, and to handle an electric vehicle, be it two-wheeler or a four-wheeler, there is a power cut module in every vehicle. So the recovery person who reaches the site, the first job he should do is he should cut off the power cut module. He should cut off the power from the battery, because in case there is a damage in any of the wiring or any of the circuits or battery, the whole body of the vehicle would actually have very high DC current, which can be damaging, because anything above 30 to 50 DC voltage can actually kill a person. So normally we think that AC is more dangerous, but actually high voltage DC is much more damaging as compared to alternating current. Another thing that needs to be done, now we have a lot of recovery professional companies are there. Now these companies need to be advised that they should carry a thermal scanner. And every time they approach an electric vehicle, they should thermally check the area for any excessive heat, especially underbody where the battery is there. Normally, in case of a damage in a battery, what happens is that in case one cell is damaged or one circuit is damaged, there is an internal transfer of voltage that starts, because if one cell is damaged, the system stops counting its voltage in the circuit. So the battery tries to balance itself without one cell, and it starts transferring voltage from one cell to another cell. All adjoining cells would start transferring voltage without any external interference, and that is called thermal runaway. So this thermal runaway can actually cause a fire and a blast, as shown in the diagram below. Other precautions that need to be taken, I've already mentioned that the DC voltage used in EV is very high. As such, in case of severe accident, there is a possibility of an electric shock in vehicle, which can hurt the passenger as well as the rescuer. DC voltage above 30 to 50 volt is dangerous. In two-wheeler EVs, normally 48 to 72 volt battery packs, and cars have more than 300 volt DC battery packs. So EVs in water is also an hazard and needs specialized handling while recovering and repair. And as I mentioned, the first act should be to switch off the power control module. In case a vehicle, EV crosses a waterlogged road, there is no issue because all the motors and batteries, they are protected under ingress protection of their specific ratings, 65 or 67 or 71. And another thing is that while a vehicle is driving, it would actually keep on splashing the water. Even if it goes into a motor, it will splash out. The motor is sealed. It will not go into the motor, but it will go around the motor and it will get splashed out. So there will be no damage to wiring or any other component. So risk is minimal, and most of the electronics vehicles, even the scooters that we sell, these are low speed scooters, very basic technology, and cars also. All these scooters, they have a fault indicator on their dashboards. You'll be surprised that even a 50,000 rupee scooter has a fault indicator on their dashboard. It shows if the motor is faulty, if it is throttle is faulty. So there is a self-diagnostic system is there. And if any of those red lights are shown, a fault is shown on the dashboard, then the vehicle should be taken to the service station for corrective measure. But another aspect is that if the vehicle is kept submerged, in case of flooding, vehicle is parked and it is submerged in water, then the whole vehicle has to be dismantled. Most of the almost 99.9% cases, high-end cars, I'm not talking about the Tata previous generation of Tata electric vehicles.
दोहरा जी,
हाँ जी सर.
स्क्रीन को थोड़ा सा आप कुछ लोग कह रहे हैं कि इसको थोड़ा ब्राइट कर सकते हैं, डार्क करके.
नहीं राजेश जी, मेरा ख्याल है इसमें थोड़ा फ्लक्चुएशन आ रहा है, अदरवाइज ठीक आ रहा है. ये केवल फ्लक्चुएशंस आ रहे हैं थोड़े
स्क्रीन में.
हाँ जी.
नहीं, पर मेरे पास में भी सर स्क्रीन में कोई फ्लक्चुएशन नहीं आ रही, बट बिकॉज ऑफ दैट मैसेजेस इन द चैट बॉक्स.
राजेश जी, मैं महसूस कर रहा हूँ इसलिए बता रहा हूँ.
हाँ जी.
ओके, नाउ दिस इज ओके.
ठीक है, चलिए.
अभी इसमें जो हम लोग बात कर रहे थे कि अगर गाड़ी पूरा सबमर्ज हो गया है तो बहुत एक्सटेंसिव रिपेयर चाहिए गाड़ी को. 99.9% चांसेस हैं बैटरी बच जाती है क्योंकि उसका बिल्ट ऐसा ही होता है. आपको जो टाटा की व्हीकल्स आई थी, जो अभी इससे ओल्डर जनरेशन जो अभी आ रहा है, उससे पहले जो मॉडल्स आए थे उनको आप छोड़ दीजिए, लेकिन जो अभी करंट मॉडल्स टाटा के आ रहे हैं या हुंडई के आ रहे हैं या एमजी के आ रहे हैं, ये सब जो हैं ये इंटरनेशनल स्टैंडर्ड के बेसिस पे हैं और दे आर लर्निंग फ्रॉम टेस्ला, दे आर अडॉप्टिंग इट एंड सिस्टम इस तरह से बन रहे हैं कि 99% सेफ्टी रहता है. लेकिन इन केस ऑफ अ एक्सीडेंट इन वाटर, सपोज अ व्हीकल फॉल्स इनटू अ रिवर और अ कैनाल, then damages have to be checked to the battery. But अगर वो सबमर्ज हुआ है तो आपने बस उसको निकाल के सूखने के लिए छोड़ देना है ताकि उसका बाहर का एरिया जो है वो सूख जाए. मैंने अभी एक स्टडी में देखा था कि गाड़ी में पूरा पानी भर गया, लेकिन बैटरी के बाहर के सरफेस में भी उन्होंने सीलेंट लगा के कवर लगाए हुए हैं और उसमें कोई पानी का बूंद अंदर नहीं गया, एक बूंद भी नहीं अंदर गया। तो जैसे फ्लड्स की गाड़ी हम लोग आईसी इंजन का करते हैं, वो पूरा गाड़ी को डिसमेंटल करके डोर्स के अंदर से कैविटी में से पानी सुखाकर वायरिंग को, जो 12 वोल्ट का वायरिंग है उसको तो 100% आपको थॉरोली चेक करना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि उसमें चांसेस होता है रस्टिंग का। तो अभी उस टाइम तो लगा लेते हैं, लेकिन कुछ दिनों के बाद उसको एयर के साथ में जब वो इंटरेक्ट करता है और रस्टिंग होता है तो थिम्बल्स जो हैं वो रस्ट होके गल जाते हैं। So that precaution has to be taken, that in case a reliable repair has to be done, the 12 volt circuit wires should be changed. अभी एक वीडियो और है, ये इंटरेस्टिंग वीडियो मेरे को मिला, जिसमें कि अंडर बॉडी से निकाला है बैटरी। ये पूरा बैटरी पैक है, ये जो आप देख रहे हैं ये पूरा का पूरा बैटरी पैक है जो इस गाड़ी के नीचे से निकाला है। ये रियर कोलिजन का केस है।
Please don't mark the screen.
ओके अभी हम लोग डिस्कस करते हैं, मतलब मैं आपके साथ शेयर करता हूँ रिपेयर कॉस्ट के बारे में। अगर आप देखेंगे टू व्हीलर का जो रिपेयर कॉस्ट है, इट इज वेरी लो as long as the battery is not damaged. And in a two wheeler, the positioning of the battery is such that in most of the damages, almost 90% of the damages, battery does not get damaged. The body panel and the chassis frame pricing is very low. You'll be surprised that a complete frame, a chassis frame, would cost approximately 4,000 to 6,000 rupees only. And with the limited speed, because these electric vehicles have low speeds, I'm talking of electric scooters, the damage during during an accident is also low because of the low speed. So more or less repair cost of a two-wheeler, electric two-wheeler is so low, and the number of claims are so low that it seems to be a profitable, it should be a profitable business for insurance companies. अभी जो दो फोटोग्राफ्स मैं यहाँ पे आपको शो कर रहा हूँ, इसमें आप देख सकते हैं कि फ्रेम भी चेंज किया है, आगे का फ्रंट पैनल चेंज किया है, फ्रंट व्हील, एलॉय व्हील, डिस्क, मड गार्ड, अंदर का जो इसका पैनल होता है, हेडलाइट, मतलब ये फ्रंट से पूरा डैमेज था, वॉल पे जाके हिट किया था इसने। और ये सब कुछ चेंज करने के बाद टोटल बिल जो था इसका वो अराउंड 22,000 रुपीज था। नॉन जीरो डेप पॉलिसी थी, 5,000 रुपीज क्लॉज मिलाकर कस्टमर ने पे किया, और 17,000 रुपीज जो है इंश्योरेंस कंपनी ने पे किया। और पूरे 1.5 साल में सिर्फ यही एक लॉस है जो हमने 550 गाड़ियाँ बेच के हैंडल किया है। So it's not a very big business as far as insurance claims is concerned when you enter into a electric vehicle business. जो छोटे मोटे लॉस होते हैं, कोई मडगार्ड तोड़ के ले आया या कोई पीछे का हेडलाइट, टेल लाइट तोड़ के ले आया, वो उनका कॉस्ट इतना कम है, 700-800 रुपये, 1,000 रुपये कि कस्टमर क्लेम नहीं लेते, वो उसको कैश में करा लेते हैं। क्योंकि हम उनको एक्सप्लेन करते हैं कि आप क्यों क्लेम लोगे, आपका एनसीबी भी जाएगा, आपका वो भी जाएगा, तो उनको समझ आ जाता है कि 50% प्लास्टिक का भी देना है, तो वो लोग उसको कैश में ही करा लेते हैं। बट अनलाइक टू व्हीलर्स, द कार बिजनेस, इलेक्ट्रिक कार रिपेयर कॉस्ट आर वेरी हाई. It's not only high because the battery cost is very high, but battery rarely gets damaged. But considering the other damages like front hit अगर होता है, so there is a cooling system is there for battery and motors. There are additional motors for vacuum pump, for AC compressors. The wiring is expensive. Fire hazard is there. So based on all these things, the cost of repair in case of four-wheeler would be very high. And in case the battery is damaged, then obviously there is no question of going for a repair, because अगर कोई सेकेंड हैंड बैटरी लेके डाल ले तो डाल ले, नहीं तो आई डोंट थिंक। और अभी तो इंडिया में तो ऐसा कोई वॉल्यूम है नहीं कि आपको सेकेंड हैंड व्हीकल मिल जाएगा। अभी जम्मू में सिर्फ एक गाड़ी मार्केट में है। वेल, दिस इज all I could collect, which I could share with you in last 1 week. Now, in case you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Rajesh ji, we will adopt a strategy first. I'll read out the chat questions to you. You kindly answer first those questions. Then we'll ask the panelists to raise their hands for their further more questions.
Sure, sir.
I think, first, let us go through the chat details. I'll put up the question. You answer that question, and then we'll have a direct interaction by raising hand.
Yes, Rajesh ji, have you noted down the chat box questions?
You have noted down. I am going through the chat.
Yes.
If you can raise the first question, in the meantime, I'll go through the chat.
Just a moment, sir. I'll start.
Akshay.
गौरा जी पानी पी लीजिए इतनी देर. Now, first question by Mr. N.K. Sharma, Jaipur. What is about the load carrying capacity of electric vehicles?
सर ये 2-व्हीलर से रिलेटेड है या 4-व्हीलर से?
दोनों 2 व्हीलर्स 4 व्हीलर्स एंड आपके जो 3 व्हीलर्स हैं लोड कैरिंग जो है.
सर जैसे बेसिकली ये डिपेंड करेगा ऑन द वोल्टेज रेटिंग ऑफ द व्हीकल. शर्मा जी, अगर 48 वोल्ट का इलेक्ट्रिक स्कूटर है तो वो अप्रॉक्सीमेटली 125 टू 150 केजीज का लोड कैरी कर पाएगा प्लेन सरफेस पे. और अगर ग्रेडियंट भी चढ़ना है तो अप्रॉक्सीमेटली 125 केजीज, मैक्सिमम 125 केजीज. अगर 60 वोल्ट का 2 व्हीलर है, 60 वोल्ट बैटरी पैक पे 2 व्हीलर है, तो वो 150 टू 200 केजीज का लोड कैरी कर लेता है. और अगर क्लाइम है, स्टीप क्लाइम है, तो उसमें 150 मैक्सिमम. और 72 वोल्ट में 200 किलो आराम से वो कैरी कर लेता है चढ़ाई पे भी. नाउ कमिंग टू रिक्शाज, इलेक्ट्रिक रिक्शाज जो अभी वॉल्यूम में जैसे मार्केट में है, दिल्ली में है, पंजाब में है, ये सारे 48 वोल्ट के स्कूटर्स हैं, 48 वोल्ट के इलेक्ट्रिक रिक्शाज हैं. लेकिन ये मिड ड्राइव बेस्ड हैं, डिफरेंशियल बेस्ड हैं, तो इनकी पावर लोड कैरिंग कैपेसिटी ज़्यादा है, क्योंकि इसमें एक साथ में इनको ट्रांसमिशन का गियर रेशियो एक्स्ट्रा मिल जाता है. तो ये ऑलमोस्ट 350 केजीज मैक्सिमम लोड कैरी कर सकते हैं. रेटेड कैपेसिटी 250 केजी होता है, लेकिन आप 350 तक अगर जैसे हम लोडर बनाते हैं तो लोडर में 300-350 किलो का लोड प्लेन एरिया में चल जाता है. और एक L5 इसमें कैटेगरी होती है, L2, L3. तो L2, L3 जो है वो लो एंड इलेक्ट्रिक स्कूटर्स हैं जो आप देखते हैं बिना बॉडी के हैं. वो उसमें 4 लोग बैठ सकते हैं आमने सामने फेस करके, आगे एक शीशा लगा है, मोटरसाइकिल का हैंडल लगा है, उस टाइप का. एक आते हैं जैसे नॉर्मल बजाज के स्कूटर आते हैं, उस तरह के L5 स्कूटर्स आते हैं, वो 72 वोल्ट पे आते हैं. और उसमें आप लोडिंग कर सकते हो अप्रॉक्सीमेटली 400 केजीज की. और वो 400 केजी लेके जैसी मर्जी चढ़ाई दे दो वो चढ़ जाएगा. उसमें डिफरेंशियल में गियर भी होता है. इफ़ यू वांट हाई टॉर्क एप्लीकेशन, आप उसका हाई टॉर्क का एक लीवर होता है, वो उसको मतलब एक इलेक्ट्रॉनिक कनेक्शन भी होता है, और वो भी होता है
मैकेनिकल